strategy. He's a very talented guy. Never ceased to amaze me. But he was born in Brooklyn, New York, and he was raised in Staten Island. He attended City University of New York, the Zenith Mortgage Academy of Excellence, the GE Cap Loan Officer University, Capstone Mortgage Institute, the Lindsay Mortgage College. Jeff is an avid boater, rock climber, and mountaineer. Jeff is a New York State licensed real estate instructor and a teacher at Richmond County Real Estate Institute of Staten Island Board of Realtors. For 15 years, Jeff has instructed, mentored, motivated, and helped market thousands of professionals. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Good, great, wonderful.
Ready to climb. Everybody's excited? Okay. When I was little, me and my father used to go climbing. And we used to do things the old school way. And I always asked my father, why are we climbing? And I'm like 10 years old. Why are we climbing? My father said, because it's there. Right? Growing up, I swore my father was the one who made that up. I told the story, actually, a bunch of climbers, I told the story. He used to climb all the time, all the time. My father said we climb because it's there, and they were like, Jeff? I'm like, yeah. He didn't say that. He said it. He's like Mallory. Mallory was the first person to attempt Everest. He may have made it up to the top and died on the way down, or he may have not made it to the top and died on the way up. Either way, climbing is inherently a dangerous sport. It is an extremely dangerous thing to do. Anyone who decides that they actually want to have fun at climbing can get seriously and dangerously hurt. I've known more than one person who has cracked their head open and been in the hospital for months upon months upon months. Now, Mallory's son, while looking for Mallory's body, said this: to me, the only way to achieve a son is to come back alive. The job is half done if you don't get down again. I personally think Mallory's son was a lot smarter than Mallory was. So next time my father says because it's there, I'm giving him that answer. That's not true. You got to get up and you got to get down. So this is a introduction to old school climbing, knots and ropes. We use knots and ropes in climbing for safety. One of the biggest things besides having your harness is the rope. These are similar to what we would call climbing ropes. Everybody has them in front of them. In climbing, we don't use your standard knot. And the reason why we don't use a standard knot, everybody knows how to make a standard knot. The reason why we don't use a standard knot is when you make a standard knot, this rope now, at this knot point, this only has 17% of the strength the original rope had. So if you're climbing very high and you fall, I think you want as close to 100% of the strength of this rope as you possibly can, right? Absolutely. Same thing when you're towing a car. If anyone ever towed a car and you had a long tow rope and you put a knot in the center, if that rope ever broke, it was because of that knot. So in climbing, we use specialized knots. The first type of knot is the basic figure eight. This is the basic, fundamental foundation for all climbing knots and all climbing ropes. The way it works, if you follow the diagram, it's very simple. You hold your rope in the center. Try to get out as far as you can. It's easier to work in the center. Just you have more room in case you make a mistake, you can fix yourself. If you follow it through, you start with one end. It's going to be a little hard for you to see me do this, so you might want to look up there. You're going to do one loop, second loop behind, and then push through the first one. So you should have something that looks like a figure eight if you did it correctly. Okay, we'll do that one more time.
I'm not
You're
coordinating.
going to go straight. You're going to make a lower loop. I'm going to stand this way, just like everybody else. You're going to make a lower loop. Let me start just like the picture. You're going to make a lower loop, an upper loop behind. Can't do it this way. A lower loop, an upper loop behind, and then put it back through. It's similar to your standard knot that you'd make, but there's one extra step. So when you're done, it looks like a figure eight, as you can see in the picture.
Oh, you got it.
We have it here. We have it there. We have a figure eight. Sorry, I don't have that nimble of hands. Okay, that's your standard knot. Everything's based upon it, but that's the standard figure eight. You have what's called the climber's figure eight, which is the easiest knot in the world to use and the easiest knot in the world to do. Standard one is if you grab this almost in center, leave a little length here on one side. Very simple. Over and through. Everybody knows how to make these knots. It's a knot you need to do to make a loop. Do that again. Make a loop. Just over. Either way, it doesn't matter. Back or over. And then through.
Is that the knot people use, like for boating?
These people use this knot for boating if you want to tie to a cleat,
Right.
and you don't have, and that's figure eight. And when you do it correctly, and this is a perfect example, is it's flat. That's correct. That is correct. That is correct. When you do it for climbing, you want it to be flat. That's your standard figure eight. The problem is with the standard figure eight is that if you have a harness on, how are you getting this loop on the harness if you're doing things the old school way and you don't have a carabiner or a clip? Because your harness will go around you. You have the more advanced, the rethread. The rethread, as everybody did before, and I'm going to do this real quick for you guys, is you start like you started before, you make a standard figure eight. If I can make the standard figure eight. Oh, that would be a slip knot. You make your standard figure eight, and then all you're doing is you're retracing your steps through. When you're done, you will wind up with the same exact thing as if you did this. It's the only difference between what a climber does, because when you tie in, you want to tie in to your belt or to your waist. In addition to that, this knot, the reason why climbers use that, any idea in a moment, tell me what the strength of this knot would be? What the strength of this rope now is at this knot?
200%.
Well, you're not going to get more than 100%. This, you actually still have 86% of the rope's tensile strength, compared to your original overhand knot, where you're at about 17%. The only thing that the climber does, because climbers, we double everything. We double our belts, we double rope, because the biggest thing in climbing is safety. The only other thing we do is what is called a fisherman's knot. The fisherman's knot you do a lot of things with. The first thing a fisherman's knot is you can make a circle. You have two ends of a piece of rope. For some reason, you need a circle. If you grab each end, it's very easy. You're going to tie your standard knot you would normally tie, just your little overhand knot that you tie everything with. If you're tying up a cake or anything like that, and you're going to make one on each end. It's the same thing you do if you were tying a cake box or whatever you do. When you pull them together, they lock. You have a loop. Loops are used for a lot of things in climbing. Regular overhand knots used for a lot of things in climbing. One of the things we do with climbing is, like I said, we double everything. So we do double knots. For your standard figure eight, when you clip into your harness, I'm going to do the regular over and over. Your standard figure eight. We're so nervous about falling, we're so nervous about this rope giving, that what we do is your fisherman's knot on top of it. Wrap through. And all you're doing is making a knot. This would be going up the mountain. And the reason why we do that is, God forbid this knot ever slips, this one locks it. Actually, just fits perfect. The last thing a climber uses is, since you already have yours there, your double knot. I'm going to take your double knot for a second. Henry, if you can help me for one moment, please, sir. As you see in the bottom of the rope, I have
My hand is loose.
not a hanger's noose, it would be a figure eight. Just step on that. Just put it down, step on it. Pull this up high. Okay. I have my knot that I made, and he left his knot in. The thing with climbing is, the biggest thing we're about is safety. And what do you happen if you're climbing, you're in that rope, and for some reason your partner that's holding you so you don't fall, this rope gets tangled up. You need a way to get off. This is called a Pruski knot. Simplest thing in the world, and one of the strongest knots. It looks like I'm just wrapping this around, right? 2, 3 times. No matter what he does right now, this knot, see how it slides? This is the magic part. Hold that tight. Once this is locked in, the reason why climbers want this is because if I'm tied in, I can do this and climb all the way up the whole entire rope. This is called self-rescue. All right, everybody, any questions? No, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and be safe while you're climbing.